All right, let's go to the mat. And if you're able to sit in Virasana, come into Virasana on a block or a bolster so that you have feedback for your sitting bones. And take a few moments to adjust anything you feel like needs adjusting. Are the feet close to the block? So roll your inner ankle bone, your inner heels towards the block. Gently press down through the big toe side of the foot. In your mind's eye, draw a line from sitting bone to sitting bone. Do they feel even? Are you more on the front of one and the back of the other? Can you make them even? Continuing to press down through the top of the foot, gently press down through the sitting bones, and then find the inner alignment of the crown of the head over the perineum. And maintaining the action of the feet to keep the lift through your center. Invite your breath to be slower and deeper. And take a few moments to observe your breathing. What is the quality of your breath in this moment? Are you able to feel your breath in your lower body? Can you feel your breath animating your belly, around the sacrum and tailbone? Can you feel your breath between the sitting bones? And whether you can feel it or not, imagining or feeling that with each inhalation, there's a very small widening of the sitting bones. And with each exhalation, there's a slight narrowing of your sitting bones. And then take a moment to bring into your mind next the idea of a sankalpa. Sankalpa is a combination of words that mean a vow to live towards your deepest desire. A vow to live towards your deepest desire. Can you think about something that you would really like to have in your life? You may already have it and you want to keep it or you want to make it better. Just think about that for a moment. And then can you make it into the smallest sentence possible without losing the meaning? And throughout the class, I will try to remind you to keep that present as we practice. Bring your palms together in front of the chest, holding your sankalpa in the mind's eye. Let's Om 3 times. Take a deep breath in. Om. 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 Release your hands. Open your eyes. We're going to come on to all fours. And we're going to just do a little bit of cat-cow. So if you want a blanket under your knees, go ahead and take it. And if for any reason being on your wrists is hard, you can totally be on your forearms on blocks. Okay, so you could do something like that. You could also, if it's comfortable, to be on like a soft fist hand. Okay, but let's coordinate our breathing and the movement of our spine, tuning into the pelvic floor. So when we're in cat pose, rounding the back, the tailbone's moving towards the pubic bone, so the pelvic floor is shortening. And as we lift the head and the tail up, our pelvic floor is lengthening. So again, either feeling that or imagining it's happening because it is. It has no choice with the shapes we're making. So as we inhale, we're making a little more space for the movement of the inhalation. And as we exhale, notice how your lower abdomen pulls up towards the front of your spine. And then are you able to maintain that lower belly towards the spine as you go into your cow pose? So that there's still stability in the lower back. So when we go into cow, for some folks, there's a little bit of pull on the lumbar. And then eventually making your way into a neutral position and reminding yourself that the way we find neutral is through feeling. And when you think you're in neutral, as you exhale, are you able to draw up on the perineum? So if you're a little bit rounded in your back, you'll feel more your tailbone or your anal sphincter. And if you're a little too arched, you'll feel more the front of the pelvic floor. So checking on that. And then tuck your toes under, so you're stretching your feet. And we're going to go back into a modified child's pose. So the heels being up is not allowing you to round as much. So there's a nice lengthening through your lower back to your sitting bones. Push the floor with your hands. So you're pushing your hands away from your body. And then keeping the knees on the ground, we're going to go into just a modified upward dog. So as we're moving to drop the pelvis down, keep your abdomen pulled back. So again, it doesn't go into your lower back. Let's just do a few of those. So we're exhaling, moving back towards the heels. Take a breath or two there. And we'll go into our up dog on an exhalation, going at your own pace. We're just going to do a couple of these. But as you're coming into your up dog, reminding yourself to contain the front of the body. So think pubic bone to navel holds back as you're moving into your up dog. And then nice deep hip creases as you move into modified child's pose. And then coming back to your neutral position when you get there, take your time. And make sure your knees are about hip distance apart. And now walk your knees a little bit closer to your hands, maybe like 2 or 3 inches. And then we're just going to take the right leg back, tucking the toes under and rolling the big toe to kind of the front of the arch here. So you should be feeling this in your right calf. It's a good stretch for the foot. Remembering all the fascia that connects to foot, calf, pelvic floor. And the next time you're in the stretching part, leaning back, pushing through that heel, let's pause for a couple of breaths, push the floor forward, away from your knees. And then take a full child's pose and just see, we've stretched the right calf, not the left. Do you feel any difference in the right side of your body? Maybe the right lower body, maybe you'll feel it in your lower back. Just observing. Okay, and then when you're ready, come up. We'll do that on the left. So extend your left leg back with your toes tucked, and let's just roll from the tip of the left toes to as far back as you can go. So probably rolling the length of the ball of the foot here. Just noting which calf is tighter. And then the next time you're back there, let's stay for a couple breaths, pressing through the heel. So that left leg is strongly engaged. Our left quadricep is holding the thigh bone up. Long calf muscle. Long breath. And then let's take a brief child's pose. Take a breath. Can you feel your breath into your sitting bones? Maybe you can even see your sitting bones as you're breathing. Can you see the movement created by breath in the pelvic floor? Okay, and then make your way up. And we're going to take that blanket that was under the knees, or if you weren't using one, just grab one. We're going to take a blanket and fold it up fairly small. So we're going to put this between the thighs to give our inner thigh muscles something to do. So I taught a class a couple of weeks ago that focused on the inner thighs, and everybody told me how sore their inner thighs were, which made me think we need to do more inner thigh work. Is that what you were hoping? Yay! Are you going, yay? I'm so glad. Okay. All right. So take that blanket between the inner thighs so you have something to squeeze. Okay. And then what we're going to do is, if you want to just take a quick look, I'm going back to toes tucked. I'm going to ask us to take a few breaths hovering, and then we'll slowly make our way into dog pose, and then we'll go into a plank a couple times. If that's too much for your wrists, again, you could do all of it on your forearms on a low block. That would totally work, okay? And then when we get to plank, if full plank is too much, feel free to put your knees on the ground, okay? So here we go. Getting yourself set up, toes are tucked. All right, so now I want you to, just before we lift the knees up, can you find that neutral pelvis so that when you're squeezing the blanket, you're also feeling, oh, my pelvic floor and my inner thighs are definitely connected. So let's try that on the exhalation because that also helps. So exhale, squeeze the blanket. Can you feel your sitting bones come towards one another? Hopefully. All right, now can you maintain that action? Keep breathing. We're going to hover the knees, maybe an inch or so off the ground, adding the whole core. So our spinal muscles are engaging, our lower abdomen's engaging. And then as slow as you're able to, can you slowly begin to pull yourself back into a down dog? Initially with bent legs. So you get maximum lift through the sitting bones in the buttock. Take a few breaths with your knees bent. Take note of how deep your breath is. Slowly straighten the legs. See how straightening the legs affects your breath. For some folks, you might feel it deepen. For some folks with straight legs, you might feel it shorten. All right, and then we're going to do our plank. So again, modify as you need to. We'll just be here for maybe 2 breaths, trying to bring the weight more into the root of the index finger. Make sure the face is parallel to the floor. And then we're going to briefly put our knees on the ground. Take a breath. Toes are tucked. Before we hover the knees again, we're going to exhale. Squeeze the blanket. Pelvic floor lifts. Lift your knees. Can you hang out here for 2 or 3 breaths? And then slowly making your way into down dog. Again, pause with a little bend in the knees so you feel you can deepen your hip crease. And if your breath shortens when you straighten the legs in dog pose, I would suggest keeping them slightly bent. The breath is more important than straight legs. Straightening the legs if that's appropriate. Coming into plank, modifying as needed. Can your whole front body support the back body? So the push your hands down should help you lift the front body up towards the ceiling. And then bend your knees, rest your knees for a moment. We're going to do that one more time. Do what you need to do to modify. Okay, so getting ready before you lift the knees. Exhale, squeeze the blanket, draw your sitting bones towards one another. Hover, 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 hover. Slowly draw back through the pelvis. Bent legs, straight legs. What's better for your body today? And then coming into plank, reminding yourself of the alignment of the crown of the head and the perineum. You're squeezing the blanket, slightly roll the blanket towards the ceiling. And then go ahead and land the knees. Take the blanket out. Shake, shake, shake the wrists. Either shaking or doing the opposite stretch. And then let's take a child's pose for just a moment. Hands are wherever is comfortable. And can you just bring into your mind your Sankalpa? Bring into your mind that which is your deepest desire that you would like to stay committed to living in alignment with it. Okay, and then when you're ready, we're going to transition onto our backs. And before you come all the way down, make sure your belt is nearby, reachable. And the blanket that you have between your thighs is reachable. We're going to do a little bit of bridging. Okay, so tuning into your feet, you're going to press your feet down and away from your pelvis so that hopefully you feel your pelvis going into more posterior tilts. Your low back is touching the ground. And then take your blanket that you just had between your thighs and putting it back between the thighs. Can you keep the lower back touching the ground? So feet are pressing down and away from your body. If you need more help to keep your lower ribs and your lower back down, you can also hold the sides of the mat with your hands and pull the mat away from your head. So both of those actions should have the same result, and feel free to use one or the other or both. Okay, we're just going to go up and down 5 times. On the 5th one, we'll stay. Okay, so take a deep breath in. Exhale, squeeze the blanket, lift the perineum, keeping the length of your low back. Go up. Take a breath. Hopefully your buttocks is working. Hopefully you feel both buttocks on. And then as you come down, lengthen the low back. So your low back touches before your butt. Keep going. So we're just going slow. Pausing for maybe 2 seconds at the top. The whole time the inner thighs are engaging. Hugging the blanket. Pelvic floor is staying lifted to stabilize your lower body. Make sure you're breathing deeply, slowly. Going at your own pace, but I want you to imagine that you're moving through a little bit of resistance. So like you're moving through water. All right, so last one, number 5. If you're holding the mat, let's let go of it now and bring the hands together behind your back, everybody, and roll your upper arms a little bit more under you so that you feel your chest lifting more. And now bring your attention back to your inner thighs. So can you roll your inner thighs down? So as if you're trying to roll the blanket away from the ceiling, keeping that nice tone in your pelvic floor. So the squeeze of the blanket is helping to support the lift of the pelvic floor. Couple deep breaths here. Good. All right. Slowly come down. Again, I want the low back touching the ground. Make sure it's touching the ground. Take your blanket out. Lower back still touching the ground. And then can you keep your lower back down as you move your legs into a Baddha Konasana position? Okay, so for most people, you'll feel that really pulls on the lower back. A little bit's okay, but a lot, if you're someone who's really arching through the back, you need a little more engagement in your belly. We'll just be here for 30 seconds. But can you allow your thighs to just be heavy? So it's just the weight of the legs is stretching the inner thigh muscles. This is one of the best poses to get the movement of your breath down. Are you able to feel it low as we stay here for just a few more breaths? And then take your hands to your outer legs and push the knees together. And then grab your strap. And we're going to put the belt around the thighs. So making a loop for your legs. Okay, so we're going to slip the belt onto the upper thighs so that the belt is about 2 inches below the hip crease. Keeping the feet hip distance apart, really make the belt super snug. Okay. And then once you're just to test, push out into the strap. Do your knees go wider than your hips? Then the belt needs to be a little tighter. Okay, so hugging the blanket, squeezing the blanket as we did a moment ago was engaging your adductors, your inner thigh muscles. So we're going to push out into the strap to engage our outer hips. So before we lift up, we're going to go back into our bridge, but before we lift up, just feel, can you coordinate exhale, pushing out into the strap, pelvic floor lifts. Now I'm saying that in succession, but actually all those things should happen at the same time. So basically, as you push out, your outer hips are engaging, your pelvic floor is lifting, but it's lifting in a slightly different way as when we squeeze the blanket. Okay, and then can you keep the pushing out of the thighs? And then using, again, your feet pressing to get your back to come to the ground, or your hands pulling on the mat, or both. Let's go up and down slowly. The whole time we're holding that pushing out action into the strap so that we're making our gluteus medius particularly, but all of our hip rotators support us. Going up and down, again, slowly, as if you're moving through a little bit of resistance. Being mindful that the low back is staying long the whole time. Making sure your breath is long, not labored, not short, not jagged. Now we're heading into our 5th one. We'll stay there. Okay, here we go. Go up there. And again, if you can remember to do the opposite clasp of your hands, take the hands behind you. Gently roll the uppermost part of your upper arm underneath you. So it feels like your outer arm is supporting your chest. So no part of the spine is touching the floor. You're still pushing out into the strap. And let's give ourselves one little extra challenge. Keep the push out into the strap. Lift your heels up, even just a half an inch. And then can you drag each foot one at a time towards your head, like an inch towards your head? Okay, your heels are off the ground. You just walked your feet in. Now you should be able to lift your pelvis, but I want you to imagine now the blanket's still between your thighs. So roll the blanket towards the floor as you're lifting your pelvis a little bit higher with the heels down. And then can you maintain the height of your pelvis and slowly bring the heels down? And that should feel like a little bit of a challenge for your quads. So they're in a lengthened position, but they're working. It should feel like a lot more butt engagement. Feel into the space next to your tailbone. Can you feel them engaging at the same rate? Sometimes there's a big difference. Okay, and then come all the way down. You can take the belt off. Let's do a figure four. So just to stretch the muscle group that we just engaged for a while. So take your right ankle over your left leg. And so if your hip is very tight, you could probably feel a stretch with your foot on the ground. You could bring the left leg all the way in and hold it. And then the midpoint between those two would be to put a block under the left foot. All options available. Okay, let's flex the right foot and think of elongating through your right side of your body. So right outer hip moving away from the head, lengthening through your right sitting bone. Take a couple deep breaths in whatever version of the pose you're doing. And then while we're here for a few breaths, can you repeat your Sankalpa to yourself? Okay, and then let's change legs. So right foot on the floor, on a block, or holding your right thigh. Left foot flexed. Lengthen the left spine through the sitting bone as if you're drawing your sitting bone strongly away from the head. Can you break your Sankalpa sentence to match your inhale, exhale? So you're saying half of it on the inhale, half of it on the exhale. Okay, and then go ahead and release out of that. We're going to come on to our right side, and you need a support for your head. And we're setting up for a clamshell, so a little more outer hip work. So I want your head, shoulders, pelvis aligned. Thigh bones straight out from the hip sockets at 90 degrees. Shins 90 degrees to the knee. Flex your feet. Okay, and then take your left elbow and bring it as close to the ground as possible so that your sternum is looking at the floor. And then we're just going to go up and down. Can you tell your right hip, your right outer hip, that's the bottom one touching the floor. Can you push it into the floor as you lift your top knee up? Trying to again create a little bit of sense of resistance as you're lifting the leg, meaning you're not flopping it, right? You're going slow as if you're gently pushing that top leg through something. And I am not counting, but everyone should go to their fatigue. Maybe for some of you, you're so good, you're not fatiguing, but you want to try to push to that last one that starts fatiguing. And then we need to rest. Rest. Yeah. Some of you are giving that muscle some love taps. All right, now can you keep the right thigh, bottom thigh still pressing down? Your top elbow still moving towards the ground, and then we're going to lift the top leg straight at hip height. So make sure your foot is not dropping below the hip. So it's right in line with my hip socket. Okay, now draw your lower abdomen back. Can you feel, again, that area from pubic bone to navel pulls back towards the spine, and then see how much can you bring the leg behind you, keeping your belly engaged. Let's point the toes. It's a little helpful. All right, and then from hip height, I want you to just do these little pulsings up. And you're also working your bottom hip. So right thigh bone is pressing down as you're lifting and lowering, like 1 inch range of motion. Point the foot. Yeah. Yep. So this is getting a little more of the upper IT band, still working the hip rotators. Okay, and then let's come on to our backs for a moment before we do the other side. And instead of coming to figure 4, we were working the left side. So let's cross the left thigh over the right thigh and hug the legs in. So this is Supta Gomukhasana. If for any reason crossing your thighs over is not giving you a stretch and you like figure 4 better, you can do that. Okay, and then let's come on to our left side. Make sure your head is not dropped forward, but the sternum is looking down because your top arm's close to the ground. Feet are flexed. Okay, when you go to lift your right knee up, push your left thigh down. And you'll probably feel your rotators a little more because you just worked that whole muscle group. Lifting and lowering your top knee slowly. Is there any noticeable difference in ability, how high you lift it? Reminding yourself not to lift it so high that your top hip falls back. We're really trying to avoid that. Okay, and then your teacher's fatigued. All right, and then let's lift the top leg. Just hold it in line with your hip for a moment, and then bring your mind to pelvic floor, lower belly. Can you turn those muscles on to give yourself a little bit more stability through the lower body? Point your right foot and now bring it behind you, holding your lower belly still. And then we're going to go up and down a little bit. So range of motion is small from hip height, maybe an inch or 2, but you're going to pulse, pulse up. So you should be feeling that area around where the bottom of your butt and the side of your butt meet. Remind yourself to push your left thigh bone into the floor. Keep pulling the leg back. It tends to creep forward. Oh, okay. And then come onto your back. Cross your right leg over your left. Can you say to yourself your Sankalpa as you're inhaling and exhaling? Okay, and then go ahead and come out. It's Groundhog Day. No, it's not. It's Groundhog Day, and we're gonna actually do the knee hover, down dog, plank 3 more times. But we just did a lot of work in the glute area, and so I think you'll feel a difference. But let's see if that's true. I think you're gonna feel like, oh, I feel like actually a little bit more stable because now the glutes are probably a little more inclined to help you. So let's put the blanket back between the inner thighs. Remember to take care of your wrists as you need to. Tuck your toes under. Okay, so before we lift the knees, press your hands so you feel that sternum lift towards your back, your belly lifts towards your back. Keeping the pelvis as neutral as you're able to feel. Can you, again, all at the same time, squeeze the blanket, lift the pelvic floor, lower belly engages. Can you feel that? Does it feel different? Maybe you have more awareness than the first time we did this. Let's do that again. We're going to hold the action, but not hold our breath. So squeezing the blanket, drawing your pelvic floor up, hover your knees. My body feels stronger after doing that. I hope yours does as well. And let's move ourselves back into bent leg or straight leg down dog. Maybe things might be different. So take a couple breaths in your down dog with bent legs. See how deep your breath is. Straighten the legs. See how deep your breath is. You want to do the one that gives you a better ability to breathe. Okay, modifying is needed for plank. Roll the blanket towards the ceiling. Keep your shoulders out of your ears. Can you slowly bring your knees to the ground? Take a breath. Push your hands. Squeeze the blanket as you exhale. Lift your knees. Holding the action, not your breath. Slowly coming into the down dog. Whichever variation is best for you. Pulling your pelvis away from your shoulders, keeping your front ribs tucked in. Coming into plank position. Keep squeezing the blanket, rolling it towards the ceiling. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. With control, lowering the knees down. And do that one more time, and we won't do it again today. Okay. Getting ready to go up, coordinating your inner thigh action with your pelvic floor. Lift the knees. Downward dog. Plank position. And then softly landing the knees. Let's take a child's pose, supporting your head if you need to, want to. Let's have the arms forward. Push the floor away from your knees. Lengthen back through your spine. Can the breath be present everywhere? Can you feel your breath in your side ribs, your back ribs, your lower back, your sacrum, your tailbone? And take 2 or 3 deep breaths, reciting your Sankalpa. Okay, and then come on up and we're going to get our chairs. So sitting on the edge of your chair, which I know you are metaphorically in all my classes, haha. Okay, so we're on the edge of the chair so that we can feel the sitting bones and then come into goddess legs. And in your goddess pose, feeling your sitting bones on the chair, can we do just a little bit of cat-cow here? So can you round your back, exhale? Just feel how you fall back onto your tail, almost off of your sitting bones, or you're on the back of the sitting bones. And then rolling as far forward as you're able to in your pelvis without feeling like your belly is just casually falling forward. So we want to keep some tone there, exhaling round the back. Just want you to tune into what you feel in your sitting bones, tailbone. And then inhale, move forward. So, going to the two extremes can help you find neutral. Okay. So then ending up back in your neutral, reminding yourself of the alignment, the perineum with the crown. And then just feel what happens in your pelvic floor and lower belly. Let's take the hands to the outer knees. And then on an exhalation, you're going to push your knees into your hands, but not let your knees go anywhere. See what you feel as you're pushing out into your hands. What engages, what doesn't engage. And then take your hands to the inner knees. Exhale, push your knees into your hands. It's a big difference in what's activating, yeah? You guys feel a difference between those two in your body, right? It's obviously a different action in your legs, but how your core reacts is really different. Okay, let's do that just a couple times just to tune in. What's your pelvic floor doing? As you exhale, you're pushing out into your hands. What happens in your sitting bones when you're doing that? And then release. Take your hands to the inside as you exhale. Push. So I find that my pelvic floor is activating in both of them, but slightly differently. Are some of you feeling that difference? A little bit? Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Okay. And then we'll come back to that and pose maybe. Bring your feet together. Okay, so now can you bring a little echo of that pose into Utkatasana? The closer your feet are to the chair, the easier it is to get up. So I'd like you to challenge yourself, but obviously if you can't get up, bring your feet closer. All right, so kind of be maybe an inch away from the front legs of the chair. Let's see what happens. Put your hands on your hips. Okay, so when I say channel, that what we just did in Goddess, can you have a sense of the outer knees pushing out without them going anywhere and the inner thighs squeezing in? So you're kind of pressing out without this happening, right? But you're also engaging your inner thighs like you're doing with the blanket. And then find your breath. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Can you come halfway up and pause? And then slowly come all the way up to Tadasana. So Nancy, you're very much collapsing into your left leg as you come up. So I want you to push more into your left foot so that you're not falling into it. Yep. And let's come halfway down, everybody. Can you imagine pushing the knees out without them actually going out? Squeeze your inner thighs in. Can you soft land? Push into that left foot, Nancy. Yes, better, 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 better. Yep, try not to plop down. Take a breath. Let's do that 2 more times. Come up halfway. Pause. Come up all the way. Pause. Halfway down. Can you keep the alignment of the perineum with the crown? Soft landing onto the chair. Take a breath. We'll do that 1 more time because yoga teachers do things in 3s. Come up halfway, pause. All the way up, breathe. As you come down, so as you come down and you stick your tush out a little bit, your pelvic floor is stretching, but it's not stretching in a passive way. So it's still active, you're still engaging it as you're coming down. And as the sitting bones come down, your pelvic floor is stretching more, and then rest. Okay, so to work each leg individually, let's bring the left foot towards the chair, right foot a little bit away from the chair. So you'll feel how much you depend on one leg when you're getting up with your feet even. So this is going to make us depend more on our left leg. So let's feel how hard or easy that is. Same thing. Come up. Stand up. Bend the legs. Keep your knees tracking straight, not falling in, not falling out. Soft landing. Does this feel like familiar, Nancy? Yeah. Okay, come up. All the way up Tadasana. Take a breath. Exhale. Think of toning that area between your sitting bones. Pause for a moment. And then can you come down softly? Just for good measure, let's do 1 more. Come up. Tadasana. Bend the legs. How much can you control yourself down so you're not falling onto the chair seat? Okay, so before you forget, switch the feet. Right foot's closer to the chair. Come up halfway. Is that harder or easier? Come up all the way. So think about how many times a day, bend your legs, that you get up and down off a chair, in and out of the car. Hopefully you're swinging your pelvis, both feet on the ground when you're getting out of your car. You're not stepping out with that left leg all the time. That's one of the things that causes this imbalance. Come up halfway. Come up all the way. Keep breathing. Come down. Slow, no plopping. We have 1 more on this side, right? Yeah, okay. Sometimes I get so in my head. Where am I? Okay. Last one like this. Oh my God, really? Does that mean there's another one? There might be. Okay. Woo, is it clear which leg you tend to depend on? Yeah, that can be a big contributor. So the leg that it was easier to get up on, that's the leg that you tend to collapse on. So like what I'm saying is a lot of people get out of a chair like that. You see how I'm depending on this leg, right? And we, again, it's something that we do like many, many, many times a day. So trying to either switch it up, just being mindful of like when you're getting out of the car, try to use both legs. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move my chair a little bit back so that I have a mat in front of it. And we are going to do warrior number 2 with our right leg on the chair. So place your whole right thigh on the chair seat and stretch that left leg back. Now, if you have taller shin bones, you might need to put a blanket on the chair seat because there's not enough room. The chair is not the perfect size for everybody. If you are a smaller person and you have like shorter shin bones, you might need to put a little bit of support under the foot, okay? Just so adjusting as needed. But more or less a 90-degree angle on that right leg. Not everybody can completely straighten the back leg. Do the best you can. And you at least get the ball of the left foot on the ground. Okay, now press both of the balls of your feet down and wide. Feel where you are on your right sitting bone. Can you lengthen the right buttock down towards the chair so that you're coming more towards the tailbone here? And then take your arms up into a T, pull back through that left arm. So if we were doing this without the chair, the pelvis would very much want to go into an anterior tilt. We're trying to get the chair to help us feel how much can you tuck that right buttock under you. Okay, and then while we're here, let's take the right forearm onto the right thigh. Gently push that right knee back. So we're externally rotating the right thigh. Take your top arm over. So if your right forearm is helping the right thigh turn out more, you should feel like, okay, I'm rolling more towards the back of my right buttock. Is everybody feeling that? Okay. And that's what you want in these lateral standing poses. Couple deep breaths. Okay, and then up you come. Just slide yourself over to the other side. Lining up more or less your heels, heel to heel. Okay, and then can you turn that left thigh out, bring that left buttock under, lift up through your crown, take the arms to a T, lean towards your back leg, look towards your front arm. Press those balls of the feet down. Those are your little anchors that turns everything on a little bit more to support your pelvic floor. And as you're in the pose, how much more can you tuck that left butt cheek? And then take your left forearm onto the thigh. Try to catch the flesh of the leg so that you're literally turning it out more. Taking the top arm over. So now the left forearm is helping that rotation in your front leg. Can you keep trying to come off the sitting bone, meaning you're going towards your tail, even towards the back of the sitting bone? Because in a moment we might try this without the chair and you don't have that visceral feedback. You don't have that somatic feedback, rather. Good. All right, come up. And let's come out of the chair using both legs. And then we're going to use the chair for Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. So depending on your flexibility, you might be straight arm, you might put forearms down, you could get something to support your head. We'll be here for about a minute. Take your feet wide. Get what you need to support yourself. Make sure that you are leaning forwards into the chair so that you have more weight in the balls of your feet. Okay? And now making sure your knees are not collapsing in. So just a little tiny external rotation of the knee. That's just to protect your knee for the next action. And now can you imagine that you're squeezing the blanket between your inner thighs? And what happens is you're imagining that you're squeezing the blanket. What's happening in your legs and your pelvic floor? Does that help your breath deepen? So maintaining the push of the ball of the foot. Maintaining the imaginary squeezing of the blanket. Can you keep that and then add, imagining there's a belt around your thighs and press out into the imaginary belt while keeping the inner thigh action. Just noticing the effect on your legs, your pelvic floor, and your breath. And let's take 2 or 3 deep breaths, reminding ourselves of our deepest desire, our vow to live in alignment with our desire to bring something into our lives. Okay, and then lean your weight into your heels, walk your feet in, stand up. Okay, we're gonna move the chair off to the side for just 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, and let's do those 2 standing poses without the support of the chair, with a memory of what it felt like on the seat of the chair. Okay, so take the feet wide, turning your left foot in, right foot out. Okay, feeling the balls of your feet grounded. Bend that front knee towards 90 degrees, leaning your upper body to the left. Okay, and now imagining that feeling you had on the chair. Can you roll your right buttock down and under you as you take your arms out and up? So that if you were on the chair seat, you would be on the back of the sitting bone or even coming towards the tailbone more. And then let's go to side angle, forearm down. Forearm helps to roll the thigh out, reach the top arm up. Okay, so a little more challenging as opposed to stay in your back leg, maintaining the strength of your back leg. Tuck that right buttock under you. And the more you do that, the more you'll come into your back leg. Breathe. Push into your back leg to come up. Turn your right foot in, turn your left leg out. Find the balls of your feet. Press them down and apart. As you're bending the front leg, tuck that left buttock under. Take the arms up, reach back. So again, can you have that clear memory? It was just a few moments ago doing these on the chair. Clear memory of the action of the left butt cheek. Roll it under you. As you start to bring your forearm down, you do that even more because that will keep you more in your back leg. Roll the flesh of your leg back to help the buttock move down. So your abdomen is drawing back, staying supported. Good. Inhale, come up. Look down at your feet, parallel your feet. Coming down without the chair, arms straight. Align your crown and your tail. Couple breaths here. Make sure you have more weight in the ball of the foot than the heel. Knees are slightly turned out so they don't collapse in when you squeeze the imaginary blanket between your thighs and then push out into an imaginary strap on your thighs. And that should feel like it's toning everything in the lower body. Okay, and then heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. Your feet to hip distance. Push yourself back into your heels to stand up. All right, and here we go. This is where I wanted to get you to grab your chair. Put your chair on the mat so it doesn't slide. Put a blanket on your chair seat so it's nice and padded. Oh, Judith, you're like, what are we doing? What is she doing? Okay, so as far as the chair goes, not everybody, my chair doesn't have this reinforcement bar. Some of yours might. So you're going to have to navigate. You're going to have to decide whether you want your bottom leg to go floor to bar or start it with over the bar and bar to seat, which is harder. Okay. The other thing you might be able to do, depending on your chair, is turn it sideways so you don't have to navigate. But what we're going to do is some inner thigh work. Okay. You walked right into my trap. So I'm coming onto my left side so that I can put my right lower leg on the chair. Remember this one? Some of you are like, no, say it isn't so. Coming onto the left forearm. It's really crucial that your inner knee be on the chair seat, otherwise it becomes almost impossible. Okay, make sure your hips are stacked. Okay, first part is you're pushing into the chair, lifting your pelvis up. The second part is straighten your bottom leg, and then you're going to lift and lower the leg, either floor to bar or bar to chair seat. This should not feel easy. See if you can do 10. If you can't do 10, do 9. If you can't do 9, do 8. Yes. So we're getting a little bit of oblique here. You're getting a lot of inner thigh. A lot. Woo! All right. Okay, other side. Don't forget the importance of your inner thigh muscles supporting your pelvic floor. All right, left leg's on the chair, left knee on the chair. Come onto your right forearm. Straighten your bottom leg. First, lift your pelvis, pushing that left leg into the chair. You decide your range of motion. If you have to navigate the bar. I don't know about you, but I notice a big difference on the two sides. One inner thigh muscle group is not as strong. And surprise, surprise, that's the more challenged side of my pelvic floor. Just do what you can do, Gwen. Don't look at me like that. Okay. Do what you can do up to, 10-ish or so. And then just for a moment, you're going to do a Baddha Konasana, navigate where your pelvis needs to be relative to the chair, that you can just let your knees drop out. So little toe side of the foot is resting against the chair edge. Let the weight of your legs again just help you passively stretch the inner thighs with your legs up like this as opposed to on the ground, which we did earlier. It should feel like your low back is not overarching. Take a couple deep breaths. Just be here for about 30 more seconds. And I want you to think about, would you like to just put your calves on the chair and make that's your Shavasana position? Or some people just prefer to be flat on the ground. Okay, let's take 2 more deep breaths here. And then what do you think would feel best? Do you want to just bring your calves up onto the chair? Make sure the chair seat, if you're going with the chair seat is right up against the knee, back of your knee. So your lower back is completely long and relaxed. Or get the chair out of the way and get a little something under your knees. And then if you think you're going to get cold, grab something to cover yourself with. Even better if you have an eye cover. And just take a moment to scan the body. Is there anything you can do to make the body feel a little more even on the floor? And then go inward. Invite your breath to touch the entire inner body. Can you find that circumferential breath? So with each inhale, your ribs are widening. Each exhale, they're releasing towards the midline. Feeling the front of the body rise and fall with each breath. Can you feel the sitting bones widen with each inhale? Releasing towards each other as you exhale. Can you feel how the breath animates your spine with every breath? As you inhale, the spine lengthens. As you exhale, the tail and the crown release towards your center. They release towards each other. They move away from each other with each in-breath. They release towards each other with each out-breath. And then for the next minute or so, can you coordinate your inhale now with your Sankalpa? Again, coordinating part of the sentence that you made at the beginning of class on the inhale, and the second part of the sentence on the exhale. And if you find your mind wandering into thought, can you bring it back, staying focused on breath and intention? Can you tame your mind using your intention and your breath? Can you keep your mind focused in a quiet space? And shift your attention to just feeling the weight of your body resting against the ground. Feel the back of your head, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your pelvis. And then whenever you feel ready, drawing your knees towards your chest, make your way onto your side for a few breaths. And when you feel ready, making your way up to any seated position. Sitting quietly for a moment. Put your palms together in front of your chest. Taking a moment to ask that our yoga practice, the efforts in our yoga practice, may it benefit others. Take a moment to bring your Sankalpa in one last time. And holding that thought in the mind's eye, let's Om together 3 times. Take a deep breath in. Om. 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 Bowing your head towards your heart, reminding yourself to also be grateful for the gift of our lives, our bodies, our breath, and the teachings of yoga. Thank you, everybody. Namaste. Let me know if there's any questions, comments, concerns.
Leslie, I have a question. Will there be class next week on Christmas Eve and then on the 31st?
Next week is not Christmas Eve week. Next week is
Oh, I meant the following week.
yeah, the follow. I was good. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I'm gonna not teach on the 24th, but I am going to teach on the 30th. Is that the 30th? 31st.
31st.
New Year's Eve day. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'll put that in the emails to remind everybody. But so class next week, yes. No class on the 24th. Class, yes, on the 31st.
Perfect. Thank you.
Leslie, is there any way that you could make the recording?
I plan to do that. That's my little Christmas gift to you.
Thank you. I was gonna go, I'll pay.
I will. I was planning to actually give you whatever the class is next week for longer, but also another class because that could get really boring.
Well, this one was great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
What did you say about getting out of the car, not just to go with your left?
Oh, well, okay. So I depend more on my left leg, and I realize, oh, well, every
Yeah.
time I get out of the car, I'm pushing off with my left leg. You know, like how many times, think about how many times in your life you've done that. So now I swing both legs out and try to get
Yeah,
up with both.
and
I
then
try to
stand
do
up.
a
Okay.
Utkatasana to get out of the car.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So that
Also,
Hold on, Gwen, and then Judith.
so that delightful thing we did on the chair. I
You
have
mean
never
getting up and down, or you mean the inner thigh thing?
the inner thigh thing. Yeah, so I've never done that before, and
It's humbling, isn't it?
never
it's
do it again.
it's what?
It's humbling.
Well, I didn't think the first side was too bad. And then the right side, I'm going, oh my gosh. And of course,
Exactly.
like you
Same
said,
thing happened to me, and that's why we're doing it because I did one
right?
side. I was like, what? What? Why can't I do this on the other side?
Yeah. So it's the leg that's on the bottom that you shows up.
I mean, you're working the inner thighs slightly differently, but both inner thighs are working.
Yeah. But
So
so
it
it's
can
a right.
also, Gwen, it could also be that side of the obliques, so the bottom side, right? So we're also lifting up. So you're trying to stabilize on that bottom side abdominal. So it could be weakness there, or it could be weakness in one of the inner thighs. So just looking for that again.
What about a connection to weakness in the psoas?
That doesn't, to my knowledge, I don't think that would be it because that is not a hip flexor position.
Okay.
That is a side body oblique and inner thigh action. Yeah.
Okay. All
But
right.
I mean, if you have a weaker psoas side, that could be your weaker ab side. That's pretty common.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Judith, you had a question?
Yes, I was just curious if I just noticed toward the end of the class, my sinuses were completely clear.
Love when that
Out
happens.
of, yeah, out of the, I mean, they weren't like, I don't have, and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting so much air. Is that because we did hip stuff? I've often heard
I
hip.
think so. Actually, when some students of mine are having allergy issues, I usually have them do like happy baby, anything to deepen the groin space.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking that, I mean, where you did the most of that is in the standing work, that you were trying to really keep the groin
Mhm.
soft, the tuck of the pelvis and all that help
Mhm.
that.
That actually happened to me the past 2 weeks. I was really congested and it was totally gone by the end of both of the classes. Today, I'm
I
not.
know, and it freaks people out. Like I have them do happy baby, like,
Yeah.
why can that help me breathe? And I'm like, why do you need to know?
It's magic.
It means I'm not really sure. I just know it works.
Thank you, Leslie. That was like great.
Have a good week.
All right, you too.
Bye, everybody.